Hello and welcome to session 4 of Learnit's Captivate training series. And congrats on making it this far and mastering all that Captivate has to offer. At this point, you have learned quite a bit and have a lot of e-learning design and development tools under your belt. Now, in this session, we go even deeper, covering even more fun Captivate features. We get into working with interactive videos, showing you how to apply bookmarks and quiz overlays to your videos, including YouTube videos. We also do a nice deep dive into creating virtual reality training modules using 360-degree photos, hotspots, and a bunch of other interactive VR tools. We also do a nice deep dive exploration into Captivate's variables, advanced actions, conditional actions, decision blocks, and explore Captivate's amazing assets to allow for more creative yet easy to use set of functions. Variables and actions may seem a bit out of reach at first, but once you learn them and see how valuable they will be an indispensable part of your process. Now, this class is meant to be very interactive, with experiential learning the key to your process. So you may hear me say things like, pause the video and try this for yourself. So go ahead and make sure to download the class files provided so you can practice all that we cover in this class. Thanks again, everyone, and get ready to learn some cool stuff. In the recent updates of Captivate, they introduced an amazing feature called interactive video. So imagine your user is watching a video, could be 30 seconds, could be a minute long, could be as long as you want it to be, but then right in the middle of while they're watching a video, you want them to have a bit of a knowledge check or a quiz on the content that they just watched. So they're watching somebody and then, hey, what did you remember from something a minute ago? Great. And then right there in the middle of the video, they can answer that quiz and then continue on learning. And then there's another quiz that pops up. That's what an interactive video is going to allow us to do. In addition to that, when the user answers the question and they get it incorrect, we want them to be able to learn about what they got the information incorrect on and be able to go back to that content within that same video. So therefore we can bookmark it. Okay, so the concepts we're going to learn about is bookmarking and then overlaying with interactive video. All right, so let's just see how this process works. Right here on my film strip, I just have these two knowledge check slides, and very easily, I'm going to go ahead and first create a blank slide that's going to be sort of a placeholder for my interactive video. So I'm going to go over here, two slides, I'm going to say blank slide and move this up. And now you're going to see that is waiting there for my interactive slide. Now, we have talked about bringing in video before, and that's pretty easy. Go to media and you can see video, but we're going to be doing a slightly different departure from that, and that's going to be an interactive video, right there. So let's go ahead now. I'm going to click on that, and you're going to see we have the option to insert video from our computer, but also from some online sources, right? And we're going to do one from YouTube as well as from my computer. So pretty straightforward, just like we did for when we brought in our video inside of another class that we did. And we're going to go ahead and just say from your computer, and I'm going to browse, and you can just see I have this video right here, and I'm going to simply double click, bring that in, and then just notice some other things here. If you wanted to kind of trim it a little bit from the beginning and end, you can absolutely do that if you want to, but mine's pretty good as it is. So I will click OK, and that comes in. Right, so no big deal. If I were to play this, it would play it, and you can see I have a little icon there that's telling me this is an interactive video. So nothing is really different up until this point. But now, when we look at the timeline, I want you to notice, I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a little bit. I now have these new layers, bookmark and overlay, and I also have this slide video. Okay, and you'll also notice I have these two new icons here. Okay, so if I move my mouse over one of them, you're going to see insert bookmark, and this is going to be insert overlay. Okay, now it understands that this entire type of video object is an interactive video object. So therefore, whenever I move my mouse and just kind of scrub it here, notice this always follows me. I always have an option to do this. All right, so let me go over here to just, I don't know, just say 35. At this point, they have learned enough, right, 35 seconds into this, that I might want to have a little bit of a knowledge check for them. Okay, I'm just checking in saying, hey, what do you remember from what we did? Okay, making it interactive, right, making it engaging for people. So what I'm going to do is very simply come over to here. I'm going to say Insert Overlay. And when I click on that, you're going to see the 2 question slides that I have here now pop up. Super, super easy and super valuable for the learner. So I'm going to go ahead and say Insert. And now that is here. And when I mouse over it, you'll be able to see, oh, okay, pretty cool. I get a nice little preview of it. Okay, and then if I come over to here, you'll be able to see I have the option now to choose different overlay slides if I want to, or in addition to that, if you want to. You can also break the link if you want to as well, right? You say, okay, you know what? I don't want that anymore. I changed my mind. All right, so let's go ahead and bring that back. Notice there it is. Cool. Bring that back and I'm good to go. And you can see now I have a new icon here that's telling me this is in fact an overlay. Okay, you'll also see over here that I have some properties for that particular overlay slide. Over here inside my properties panel, my overlay slide is slide 2. The background opacity, you can see here, is 10%. We're going to see that, what that's going to look like in a little bit, but how it's going to be dimmed and how much, kind of transparency we can see there. And we also have another opportunity to, in fact, unlink this. We want to. Okay, very good. So let's just go ahead and move along. Let's not go too far just so we can kind of watch it when we preview it. I'm going to come over to here and I'll go ahead and do another one. And you'll see when I click on this again, I just have one more left. And I can very easily do that. Same deal. And now take a look at both of these now show that they are in fact overlay slides. I come over to here and you can see this now says slide 3 at this particular timeline. And when I mouse over that, right, you can see, bam, there it is at that timeline timestamp. All right, so I'm going to go ahead now and preview this. And when I click on preview, I want you to see what happens now. When I say preview from the slide, I'm going to get a little error message. This project contains slides that are not supported when published. Okay, yeah, these are pretty special slides, right? I am working with interactive video. So what do you think I could do here? Let's try out HTML5 in browser. And now you're going to see when this renders, right, it now is going to allow for this to come in. And it will play, in fact, inside of a browser. So just keep that in mind, certain things you will need to actually preview this. Okay, so we're going to go for about 35 seconds, and we're going to wait and see what's going to happen. And remember what the purpose of this is, right? We're going to have an overlay to be able to quiz and knowledge check the learner.
In this video, I want to explain specifically how often to send boosters and what should be contained within.
Okay, and there we go. That was about 35 seconds, and it pops up. All right, now let's see, okay, well, what happens now? How long after the training should the first burst occur? And I'm going to say 2 hours. Say submit. Incorrect. Okay, bummer. All right, how about 2 days?
Now, in terms of frequency, what you need to keep in mind is the idea of 2, 2, 2. 2 days, 2 weeks, and 2 months. Your first.
Okay, but now you're going to see another one pops up. Okay, that's perfect. And then, bam, I'm going to get out of this because ultimately, right, if I get something wrong, I want people to be able to go back and review where that content is. If they get it right, allow them to continue, right? So just like any other quiz, when they click on something, what do you want to have happen, right? And if they don't, if they have a failure type of interaction where they don't get it right, where do you want them to go to be able to learn that information to go back into that part of the video? And that's what we're going to do next. That is going to be working with bookmarks. Okay, so what we're going to do is let's just find a sweet spot. I'm just going to go over to here to just say like 22 seconds. That's where the sweet spot is, meaning that one of the questions, right, was referring to something that was covered back at second 22. Okay, so what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to create a bookmark here. All right, and I'm just going to call this knowledge KC question 1 or whatever you want to call it, right? So basically, maybe that's going to be, let's just say topic 1. All right, and then I'll go over to here, go a little bit past this one here, and I'm going to say insert bookmark. This is going to be topic 2. All right, now let's remember where this was, right? So we can actually see kind of where he's at with things, right? So just so we kind of know where we're going to. All right, now, where does this actually come into play? This part can be a little bit sort of disjointed, so let's just see what I'm referring to here. Because I made this bookmark of topic 1, I want to make it that if this person here gets it wrong, meaning when they hit the whatever wrong answer, we want them to get the follow-up review information from that part of the video. Okay, so let's go ahead now and go over here to our quiz. All right, because this is a quiz, we now have a quiz tab. And I want you to see down below, I have this. Okay, well, what's happening? You want to have a failure message. Okay, that's great, whatever. But then I want you to notice that there's this last attempt, because I'm only going to have them have, just one. And what's going to be the message? The message, so you didn't get it right or whatever it is. Or maybe I'm going to say none, right? I don't actually want them to have a message. Totally up to you, right? And you can bring up what you want those things to look like in terms of some kind of failure caption. But for me, I want it so when they have their last attempt, which is essentially just going to be one attempt, but you can make as many attempts as you want. You can change that. I want it to then go to a bookmark. All right, so if we scroll up, you're going to see it says jump to bookmark. Now, if you don't see that, it either means that you do not have a bookmark, right? I haven't set it up yet. It might not necessarily be interactive. A lot of different reasons for it, okay? But just keep in mind, yours is going to have to be set up the way that mine was, right? So you have to turn off, retry and all that good stuff there to make sure that you get that. All right, so now, when I say jump to bookmark and I click on this drop down, I now have those 2 bookmarks ready to go. Okay, so I'm going to choose topic 1 for this question. And then for this one, it's going to be topic 2. So pretty much same deal. And I'm going to make that none. Come over to here, go over to here to jump to bookmark. And this time it's going to be topic 2. All right, so we come back over to here. And you're going to see here is going to be 1 right there, about 22 seconds into it. And then this is one of my overlays, but then this is the bookmark. Okay, so just keep in mind what the difference is and the value in it. All right, so let's go ahead now and preview that one more time. I'm going to go over to here. All right, and then notice my keyboard shortcut, F11. That could also take me right there. And now that's going to open up. And it's going to breeze right over that bookmark. But you're going to see he's going to be saying something very special at that part where the bookmark is. Because that is the part that they're going to be quizzed on.
The good news is that modern researchers have shown us that you can change the shape by periodically boosting people's memory with short quizzes, polls, and other interactions. In this video, I want to explain specifically how often to send boosters and what should be contained within them.
Okay, and there he goes. All right, and now I'm going to go ahead and get this wrong. And now when I click on submit, there is my one and only failure attempt. And then I'm going to my one and only attempt, and my failure comes back. See, and it goes back. See, he starts all over again. All right, so what you're going to want to do is go ahead and practice that. All right, find your own video, right? We actually have another one on jogging. If you want to do that, the benefits of running, you can try that. All right, so you're going to see how well this works for you, and you're going to see a lot of benefit to this. Okay, let's now go ahead and just try this one more time using a YouTube video. So you're going to see how it's relatively similar, relatively straightforward. So I'm going to go ahead and just delete this. And I'm going to do another blank slide, bring this on up, and then it's going to be, again, interactive video, this time YouTube, and I happen to take this from another class that I taught, okay, Photoshop for Beginners. I'm just going to go ahead and copy that URL. And I'm going to paste that in there and click OK. And you're going to see magically it's going to bring it in, it's connecting to the web, and you're going to see I can go ahead and just make that the size that I want. Okay, and now this, even though it just kind of looks like a little bit of a placeholder, this is actually, in fact, going to be an interactive video. How do I know that? Because if you look at the timeline, you see here is the bookmark and the overlay. And you can also see here is the little icon there. So I'm going to get the same set of options here for me. Okay, so I'm not going to redo any knowledge check questions. So let's just go ahead and run through this process one more time. So but right now, I'm actually going to make this the bookmark because I want people to come back to the beginning. So I'm going to make that relatively straightforward. Okay, I'll just call this beginning. Okay, that's great. And then about 10 seconds into it, all right, maybe let's actually see if we have some more content at some point. It's a pretty long video. Just so you're not so bored, I'll just come over to here, about there, and then I'm going to make this one question. And I'm going to get it wrong, and we're going to see it's going to come right back to the beginning. But guess what? I now have to make it so my quiz question is going to be now going to the bookmark called beginning. All right, so now let's see this in action. Preview, HTML5. I'm going to play it. You're going to see how it starts, and you can see that I'm actually inside of a YouTube video.
My name is Dave Casuto, instructor for Learnit, and welcome to the Intro to Photoshop.
All right, now it pops up. Great, and then bam, click submit, and see it starts all over again from the beginning. All right, so very cool. Make whatever bookmarks, whatever kind of overlays you want, but understand ultimately what our goal is here. Okay, we are educating people all throughout with these videos. We want to make it engaging for people. We want to make it interactive for people. We want people to kind of just come out of their stupor while they're watching a video and hey, let's quiz them all throughout. Okay, because maybe this is the main medium of how you are actually conveying your information. And this is a great way to keep people on their toes, keep people engaged, keep them learning, but then also continually educate them with that bookmarking tool as well. All right, so go ahead and pause the video, practice that on any whatever videos that you've got, and you can use YouTube, you can use any of the ones that I provided, go for it. All right, and we'll see you in the next lesson. And welcome back, everybody. Another exciting tool to learn is about working with 360-degree media so you can view it using VR goggles, okay, virtual reality goggles. So if we take a look at this media that I'm looking at right here, and I come over here with my mouse, you will see that this has the ability to be turned upside down, left and right. You see it goes around and round and round. Okay, you'll also notice that there's little icons here to make it a little bit more interactive using what we call hotspots. So hotspots are meant to be interactive. So maybe you'll hear some sound, you'll see another image, maybe you'll even see a quiz question. Very cool. Now, the image itself that we're bringing in does need to be a 360-degree image. So you will need to have that type of camera to be able to capture your content in such a way. So you can see here is one example. Here is another example. Come over to here, and you can see here's another example. Now, one thing you should note is that when you start doing a VR project from the beginning, Captivate will prompt you and say, hey, do you want to see an example of it? And this Waze apartment actually is the first thing that you're going to see, right? So this is actually a gift from Captivate. Let's take a look at another one. You can see here is somebody's kitchen, also some interactive elements. Bam, just like that. Now, I've got a few different 360-degree images you can use for our purposes, but just understand that you will get one right off the bat, and you'll see what it can do for us. So let's just go ahead now and explore what a finished VR project is going to look like. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do a preview, and what we're going to do is we're going to say, hey, let's look at the project. And now we're going to do the whole thing, and now, wait for it. It's going to come up, and you're going to see, just like that, I have the ability to now control this. You see, just like that, up and down, left and right. Okay, now you'll also see that this is interactive. When I clicked on it, I got a little text box, one of which I can read, and I can also click and close. Come over to here. This one has an image and also some text. Close that. See what this one does.
Turn pot handles away from the front of the stove.
That one has sound. Okay, this one kind of pulses. Okay, so lots of really cool stuff you can do. All right, now, how do we do it? Let's just see how this is done. Okay, and also, by the way, you can see this is a little overlay hotspot, so you can see how that's done as well. Okay, I'm going to show you how to do that in just a minute. So let's go ahead now. I'm going to go over here to File. I'm going to say New Project, and I'm going to now say VR Project, Virtual Reality Project. And as soon as I do that, you're going to see blank. However, something potentially new that you have not seen before, add 360 image or video onto here. Okay, and of course you have to have these available in order for this to work. So we're going to go ahead now and just click on that, and it's going to take me into our class folder here. And then I'm just going to bring in, let's just say this one for right now, the studio apartment. Double click on that. And you'll see that even before I've rendered it to be able to preview it, I can see that this in fact is a 360 video, a 360 image, right? You can see very cool. I can interface with this. Okay. And if I want to do another one, guess what? If I go over here to slides, I can say, hey, listen, I'm going to do a new one right here. Okay, and you can see now I've got a new slide, and this time I'm going to bring in another one. But you notice here it takes me to my library. I'm going to go ahead and import. Don't need any of those. And now I'm going to bring in my kitchen. Same one as we saw before. See, very cool, very easy. All right, now let's go ahead and make this a little bit more interesting. Like I said earlier, we have the ability to put on different hotspots. So if you take a look up on top here, we're going to see that a lot of these are still lit up, but we're also going to notice how we have some options here that we did not have before, including the hotspot option. But the ones that are lit up, you can see here is I can bring in certain kinds of text. I can bring in media still. Certain things are grayed out, right? Can't necessarily do all that, right? Interactive video, but you can see I can bring in my own sound and of course preview, etc. All right, so just keep that in mind. If you ever wanted to bring in some text, you can bring in some text. You can't necessarily have a text entry box or text animation, but you can still bring in some text if you want to. Now, is it going to render it like 360 degrees and kind of have it go all slanted like that? That may not happen for you. That's why we're going to work with our hotspots to be able to make it so it is going to show in a more kind of realistic way, to have that virtual reality experience for people. All right, so let's go ahead and just kind of walk through some of these little hotspot options and what we can do. So very simply, I click on that hotspot there, and you can see, all right, very good. I just want people to know, okay, well, what is that? All right, so this little thing pops up. And you can just see on the right-hand side, I have my properties, and I can now name this if I want to. All right, I'll just call this breadboard. And then you're going to see also I have my options for styles. If I want to take a look at some of those things, and I can double click into here and you'll be able to see I can actually mess with every single part of this, believe it or not, and make some changes to it if I like, right? So I can go ahead and make that yellow if I want to, right? I can change that to something totally different if I don't want that. So this is kind of treats it more like a vector image. So I'm going to go ahead and make that maybe blue. All right, so let's just do that. Okay, cool. All right, so I want that to kind of stand out a little bit more. So that might not be as obvious. So I just want you to kind of see that if you double click on any one of those, it gets treated like a shape might be if you drew it yourself, right? If you worked in Illustrator or something like that. Okay, very good. Now I'm going to go ahead and put some elements on here. And you'll notice that when I click on it, I don't necessarily get a whole lot of options in terms of like what elements I want. It doesn't like pop up, doesn't ask me, there's no other options here. I've got to go over here to my actions because this in fact is a button. So what is my action? We've seen this before where we say on click, what do you want to have happen? I don't want them to go to the next slide. I want it to, let's just say, display some text. I want it to play some audio. I want it to display an image, play a video, etc. Okay, lots and lots of good options here. So I'm just going to go ahead and say display text, and this pops up. and you're going to see here I have this little empty text box. Now I have some text for us to work with here. All right, and then I'm just going to go ahead and just find something here. It may not be exactly that, but it's fine. I'm just going to copy that, paste it, and then bam, there you are. And I'll be able to see it right there on my VR platform inside the canvas. All right, now I can also very easily change all of the formatting for it, right? Maybe that's a little bit too big. Okay, great. That's fine, no big deal. I can change the font. I can make this bolder. I can do whatever you want to do, right, to make that a little more interactive for people. All right, let's go ahead and try something else, right? Okay, maybe that's the look you're looking for. Let's make that red. Okay, very good. That's going to make that stand out a little bit more. What color text do you want it to be? Okay, great. You can very easily change that. Let's make that maybe, see? So you can do something like that. Merry Christmas. All right, let's come back to white and let's come back to black-ish. All right, and then of course you can play around with your opacity on this as well. All right, now, before I go any further, I'm going to preview this because I want you to see how this all interfaces. Okay, I want you to see how it kind of moves with the angles and how our text box is going to pop up and everything. Okay, so let me go ahead and move that. All right, very good. So I'm going to go ahead and preview from this slide. And now here I am. You can see, bam, only one little hotspot. You see how it's kind of pulsing at me. That's great. I click on that, and now, bam, here that is. And notice how it stays with me, even kind of stretches out like that. Very cool. Now I'm done. I click on that, and cool. Even got a little check mark to tell me that, in fact, it is done. All right, so let's go ahead and just add on a couple more. So I want to have one here that has that audio. This time for my hotspot, I'm going to bring in this little sound thing, right? Just like that. That tells me that. And again, guess what? You can move it around. You'll see how it changes the angle. I click on that. And you're going to notice that there's going to be a couple of ways to bring in audio. You see here's play audio, and there's also options, add audio. But I like to do it right from the actions. Come over to here, say play audio, and then I'm going to find my audio. Just coming over to here, and then go back to my class folder. All right, that's great. And then if you want to, again, just go ahead and check out some of your styles. You can see that's there. All right, bam. Check out some of your options if you want to do that. Check out your timing if you need to, right, if anything pops up. But right now, I am going to preview this once more. Let's just see here, preview from this slide. And I should now have two hotspots. All right, there's this guy. Cool. All right, and then there's that one, and now a sound should play.
Turn pot handles away from the front of the stove.
Cool. Very good. Very happy. Thank you. And that is where it needs to be. Okay. Excellent. All right, now let's go ahead and just try out a couple of more things here. Okay, but you can see how easy this is and how valuable it is. All right, so let's just come back over to here this time, and we'll get into a different space. And this time I'm going to, maybe I'll work with like this little phone here, and I want to make it a quiz question. So I'm going to come over to here and just notice all the icons here, okay? And there you can do whatever you want with any of them, but I'm going to go ahead and just come over to here to this Q for a quiz question, bring that over to here. And this time I'm going to say add question. And I'm just going to go and add in a true false question, make it nice and simple. Click OK. And I'm going to say house is the recommended interior design website. Recommended. All right, I'm going to say that's true. Now, this is a quiz just like anything else. So I go over to here to my quiz, and you can see I have all these options here. All right, and what's cool about this is it actually gives me a little quiz result page as well. Okay, so just keeping that in mind. So pretty cool. Okay, and if you want to do another question, you can do that just the same, but now this is now interacting with that particular question. question that is now on slide 2. Just like how we saw with our overlay slide earlier when we were talking about videos, you can see here now this is going to be overlaid, if you will, with slide 2. Now, do I want this to be included in the quiz? Yes, I do. How many points am I going to get? Do I want to report answers and, scormify that and send it to my LMS? Sure. You have all the options in the world to do that. All right. So it's totally up to you, but just understand what's going to happen now when somebody clicks on this, right? They're going to get this little pop-up here. Okay. So really, really cool. But let's check it out. Let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and just say from this slide, play it. And now let's go ahead and get a nice little view of this. I click on that and you're going to see very cool. And there's a little thing right there. I can interact with it. I'll go ahead and hit submit. Very nice. I get a little feedback on there. Fantastic. Everybody's happy. Okay. And guess what? I can continue on and I would go on to the next slide. All right. And let's just do one more just so you can see how this works. Let's just go ahead and bring in, let's just say an image this time. All right. I can come in really anywhere from here and I can choose pretty much like any one of these. It's really up to you, but I'm just going to go ahead and just do that one. And I'm going to this time say in my actions, say display image. And I'm going to go ahead and find that image, clicking on the little folder icon. And let's go back to my VR assets over to here. And this one is actually an image that was built that has an image and also some text on there. And I'm going to preview that. And let's see what an image looks like. Click on that and very cool. There I am and you can see how that goes. Now just imagine if this was actually in VR. If you were looking at this using your VR goggles, like how cool this would be to be able to kind of look up and down, and maybe if you had your paddles, you'd be able to then go ahead and interact with it in this really, really neat way. All right, so you really want to explore this, right? Because there is quite a bit to check out on so many levels, just making whatever you're working with, in a much more interactive way. Some of you may never even really thought about using VR, working with 360-degree images, right, up until this time. Now you can see it can be a really, really interesting way, very kind of unique style of engagement with your content, right? So, and this is definitely not going away anytime soon. Couple of last things on VR, and I want to just kind of talk about a few options that you have here, which is the guided versus exploratory. So far, what I've been showing you has just been more exploratory, where we're just kind of coming along and we're allowing people just to sort of just go a little bit more at their own pace. So far, what I've seen you. So you can just kind of have people click, 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 and go where they want to go. But sometimes you want to be a little more controlled, but also kind of nudge people a little bit, and also just making sure they don't leave out any of your hot spots here. Okay, so if we watch this, I'm just going to go ahead and just say preview. I'm going to say preview the project. And we're going to start with a little bit of sound, a little bit of introduction.
Your health and energy level during the day is also affected by your ergonomic
Still interactive.
efforts at home. This is Wee's apartment. Explore a bit to learn more about how she can keep up on ergonomic health at home.
So we don't have any hot spots at this point.
Select the door icon to leave her apartment and continue with the course.
All right, so we come over to here, and then just notice how it kind of just centers us here. Now I can start from wherever I want as the user, right? I can even come all the way over here and like listen to this, right? There's some sound on this. Let's just go ahead and click on that, and then I see this picture here, okay? And I'm just gonna kind of just go around and around and around, and then when I click on this now, it just sort of reorients me back to where I was, right? So let me just go ahead and go over to here.
This is Wee's bedroom.
We're gonna have some audio.
She spends a third of her life sleeping. Her mattress and your mattress contribute to your breathing and restorative sleep, which impact your energy levels. A Posturepedic mattress and ergonomic pillows can help to improve the quality of your sleep.
Okay, and then notice that as it's completing, it comes right back and orients me, so I don't make sure I don't miss anything, right? So let's come over to here, and then once again, right, it comes back this way, and I can go here. Here's another one for me. Okay, great. There's my quiz. Cool. All right. And now mark over to here and then okay. Very good. Okay, so just keep that in mind. You may want to have that. So let me just close out of this. You may want to have that type of interaction for your user, right? Making sure that it's guided. And then you'll see here that it'll ensure that people don't miss things. All right, now the last thing I want to talk about is the assets. And I've alluded to this in some of our previous lessons, and I'm going to talk about a little bit more into more detail. Now, Captivate gives you a ton of assets to work with, all right? And in this set of videos, I've shown you some 360 images that we can use. If you don't have any that you have to work with and you don't like ours, you can always go into the assets. You'll be able to see there's quite a bit to choose from if you want to bring some of these in here. Okay, so you can see here is 360 assets, and you can see, bam, there they are. And certainly you can get some of these on the Adobe website. You can find them online, and you can even do it yourself. Okay, so if you have the right type of camera, you have the right type of technology, however you are going to be getting these, right? If you're working in real estate, you know, there's a lot of these things that you can get access to. Just notice how these things are set up, right? So you can see kind of a large sort of high level view of what these will look like. Okay, so if I bring in here, I click insert, you're going to see it's going to bring that in, and it's going to be, you know, very different than just a regular image. But what's really cool is that these things are available within Captivate themselves. All right, so please go ahead and practice. Hopefully you find this as fun, but also as straightforward and simple as it's designed to be. All right, so practice up, have fun, and we'll see you in the next lesson. In this lesson, I'm just going to introduce you to the idea of variables. Within Captivate, we have two different types of variables. We have user variables and we have system variables. Now, these variables are essentially going to be placeholders for different bits of content that we want to be fed in. When we have system variables, these are going to be sort of organic variables, like let's say the project name, could be the project date, could be the author of the project. When I say organic, I mean like it already pre-exists, it's already part of the system already, okay? Where user-driven ones are going to be the ones that we create, okay? They don't pre-exist, we want them to exist. We want to collect information from a student. We want to find out what department they're in, you know, that type of thing. So we're going to collect it from them and then we're going to refer back to it again, okay? So where are we going to find our variables? If I click on project, you're going to see here is this option for variables. And as I said, right next to type, you're going to have two different types of variables. Either user variables, and notice there's not a whole lot going on here, but you should all have something here. All right, we're going to be exploring these in a little bit deeper. And we have our system variables. And these are the ones that kind of come with the program already, okay, with even the file already. So you can see here there's going to be lots and lots of these to work with, including, you can see here's copyright, company, author, course name, right, the date. And you can see we have all these things here. Now, the goal for these is ultimately to bring them in to our deck, into our module, to be able to refer back to them. And therefore, when we do that, and let's say we make a change at some point, it's going to automatically update. All right, so one thing I recommend that we do before we get started on anything with system variables is changing our project info. Okay, because right now when you start something from scratch, you will have no information. So earlier when we talked about all the system variables and them being organic, right? They're relating to this kind of bit of organic information that we have to feed into this particular document. Okay, so as an example, I can go ahead and say, all right, the company is Learnit. All right, the project name is How to Create Folders. All right, and then you can put a description in there, whatever you want. What's my copyright, 2022, okay, whatever you want to put in here, but just know those variables that we just saw are looking for that bit of information. It's not just making it up necessarily, it's looking for this bit of information that we fed into this particular document to make it so those variables can then just feed that information to the front end for the user to view. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just Click OK here, and I'm going to just pause the video for a little bit. I want you to come in and then go a little bit deeper into the projects and then just go ahead and take a look at some of these variables, in particular, some of these system variables, and explore what's available to you and what could be valuable to you. All right, so just go ahead and pause the video, check it out, maybe watch this a few times just so you can kind of get an idea what variables are. But of course, the best idea and the best learning is going to be from doing, and that's what we're going to be doing in just a little bit. Okay, so go ahead and pause, practice, and we'll see you in the next lesson. All right, so let's go ahead now and practice applying different system variables into our module. So when somebody comes onto my title page, I want there to be a placeholder with the project name into it, and I also want to have the company also there. Right? So things may change, but I also want it to just kind of come in very easily for me, right? And this could be a constant that I'm going to be doing as well. So I'm going to show you how we can also put something inside of our master slide. So what I'm going to do is very, very simply bring in a text caption. All right, and I'm just going to say, welcome to, and that's going to be a little bit of a kind of a cliffhanger right there, right? Which is going to be welcome to what? Welcome to the name of the project, whatever that's going to be, right? And welcome to the name of the course, right? Like, oh, okay. Well, I don't want to have to type that in. I want to be able to have that coming in from a variable. I want that to be fed in from where I saw before under File and Project Info. You're going to see here is my project name, how to create folders. So what needs to happen now is we bring in the variable. So how do we do that? I want you to notice inside of the Properties panel, we're going to see these little icons right here. Some of you may have seen these before, inserting a symbol, inserting a link, but here is the option for inserting a, guess what? Variable. So when I click on that, and you're going to see a little dialog box pops up, and you're going to see is variable type, and guess what? We only got those two we saw before, user and system. Okay, and once again, I'm going to see I have all of these that I saw before, and check it out. You can also just do it also by different things. So you're only seeing certain elements, right? So you can see, oh, wow, because there's so many before, this is actually really helping me out a lot. Click on that. Okay, moving metadata. Oh, is that better for me? Oh, wow. Oh my God. Because guess what? If you're seeing all of them, you're really going to be kind of overwhelmed. So being able to filter out actually really may help out quite a bit. So I'm going to click on Movie Metadata. I click on this and I say, okay, well, what am I doing? I am just showing the project name. Click OK, and you can see that's going to pop up. All right, now you're going to see that it has all this kind of encoding inside of this. That is what a variable typically looks like. And like I said, maybe some of you saw that when you're working with quiz elements, right? Maybe you're going to see some of those things basically kind of encapsulating what the answers are going to be, the percentage, and all those good things that quizzes can show us. All right, now let's go ahead and preview this. Let's make sure that this is going to work. I'm going to go ahead and just say preview, and I'm going to say next 5 slides. We're going to say welcome to what? Let's play it, and oh, welcome to how to. Interesting. What's actually going on here? My text box, even though it shows it here, is not actually big enough to actually show it. So I'm going to go ahead and make that a little bit wider, or maybe significantly wider, and then I'm going to try that again. Click on that, and then nice. I like that. And then maybe let's go a step further. Let's go ahead and just highlight that. And maybe I want to bold just that part there. Okay, that's great. Or maybe you want to underline it. I don't know. Sure, maybe you want to change the color of it. Even though this is a variable, we can still get all that same type of formatting options to have that kind of visual interest, if you like. All right, now let's say, for example, I were to change the name of the project. So I'm going to go over to here, and I'm going to come back over here to Project Info by clicking on File, and I'm going to change this to How to Become a Captivate Expert. I click OK. Variable remains the same. Click on preview. Next 5 slides. And guess what? There it is. And that gets updated. Okay, so very cool. Let's go ahead and do one more. I'm going to say text caption. I'm going to say sponsored by, and this time I'm going to do company name. So bring that over here. And I know that happens to be a little bit longer. Get my cursor blinking there. Come back over to here. Insert variable. This time again, it's going to be a system variable. And we're going to see we have all kinds of information here, right? Now, so when you come back and you do this on your own, I do want you to explore what is going to be available to you. Okay, so if I go over to here to system information, right, you can see, oh, okay, all kinds of information about, okay, what's the date or whatever it is, current date, could be important to you. Quizzing, that also could be something you might want to do as well. Those are the ones I was referring to earlier, with the percentages and pass fail and points scored and all that good stuff here. I'm going to go back to my movie metadata. I'm going to come over to here to company and then take a look here. I want you to see this time about maximum length. All right. So in case you have a really, really long title and it's not coming up for whatever reason, you can always change the maximum text length and character length and make it so it's going to fit in there in case it doesn't. All right. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And now preview it. Play it. And here we are, sponsored by Learnit. Automatically fits in there. Okay, very good. Now, let's do another one that's a slightly kind of more complex version of system variables that you may appreciate. Okay, so whenever my users come on there, I want them to actually see what slide number they are on and how many slides there currently are as well. Okay, it's not showing up there in my player. It's not showing my skin, my table of contents. I just want that to be shown there all the time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over into my master slide and I'm going to bring in a series of variables to allow for that. So it's going to be a series of placeholders to allow for that type of information to be shared. So I'm going to go over here to my master slide view. I'm going to come over to here to my main master. And I'm going to put my little bit of kind of placeholder content here, right? I'm calling variables placeholders because that's essentially kind of how I see them for this bit of information. All right, so very simply, once again, text caption, right? I'm just going to say slide space of space. Okay, so think about what I just did there. I'm making a little space for what? My variables. One to go here, one to go there. This is going to be one slide number of the total of slide numbers. So let's go ahead and check that out. So I've got a little blinking cursor there. I'm going to go over to my insert variable, come over to here to my system, and then check it out. I can go ahead and do this one more time. Maybe this is going to be more of a movie information. Let's see that. It's like, oh, yeah. Oh, wow, this is so much easier because guess what? Before, when I had all these totally buried in all this stuff here, so hard to see, I happen to know this is movie information. What am I going to be doing? I want to say, okay, so current slide. Click OK. And make sure you got a good little space there. Get some space after the dollar signs. Okay, another space after of. And I'm going to bring in another variable. Go over here to system, and I'm going to filter that out by movie metadata. I'm going to filter that out by movie information. Come over to here. I'm going to say of slide count and click OK. Now you probably know by now this probably needs to be lengthened. Okay, so let's go ahead and make that nice and wide. Even though these are just going to be numbers, I like to kind of just be better to be safe than sorry. And let's just see what that's going to look like for all of my slides. So I'm going to get out of this. And just notice here, that's going to be on every single slide. Every single slide, every single slide. That's great. And I should have, I think, a total of maybe, I don't know how many slides we got here. All right, so let's go ahead and check that out. I'm going to say preview. And this time I'm going to do the entire thing here. I'm going to do HTML5, do the entire thing, show it in my browser. Hit play. There it is. Slide number 10. How to become a Captivate expert. That's great. Slide 1 of 10. Okay, that's great. Go to my next one. Cool. Slide 2 of 10. 3 of 10. Nice. Little placeholder for me for every single slide. All right. Very, very cool. Okay, so a handful of really, really useful applications for system variables. All right, so there's really not a whole lot of wrong you can do. There's so many that you can explore. There's so many that you can try out and see if they work for you. Okay, if your client is asking you for something, if your manager is asking for something, there's a very good chance that it's built into some of these system variables. Now, in the next lesson, we're going to learn about user variables, which are going to be a little bit more custom for user inputs that we can refer back to later on. All right, so go ahead, pause the video. Please practice this, get comfortable with it, see what's available, start to get creative, see what ideas you have on your own. All right, and we'll see you in the next lesson. And welcome back, everybody. We're going to continue this conversation on variables, but this time we're going to move away from system variables and talk about user variables. So many times you want to collect information from people. In this example, I want to collect information about their name and their department, and I want to use that bit of information all throughout the module. All right? So first thing I want to do is actually create the variable itself. Now, when I create the variable itself, it really has no value until it's then applied to a box, some type of object, so it can actually refer to that thing again and again and again. All right, so let's just see how we can first create a user variable. So I'm going to go over to here to project. I'm going to go over here to variables, and you're going to see, bam, here it is, user, and I'm just going to go ahead and just say, hey, listen, I want to do a new one. All right, I don't really care about any of these, right? So I can go ahead and just delete these. They're not necessarily helping me out at all. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that one. And now I'm going to say add new. And very simply, this little empty box comes up. I'm going to say user name. And this is called camel case, how I've done that. But some people like to just do user underscore name, just like that. Totally up to you. Camel case is lowercase, no space, and then uppercase, just like that. Okay, so username, and then this variable collects the student's name. All right, so that way you'll be able to kind of know what it is, and so can other people later on. All right, so you kind of, it assumes kind of a level of collaboration. So I'm going to say save, and then bam, there that is. All right, so very good, excellent. But it really hasn't done anything. Like I said, kind of it's sort of standalone. It just sort of exists, just like how we saw with our system variables. Those just kind of exist until they are referred to, until they are integrated into our system. So let's go ahead and just put in not just a regular text box, but we're going to put in a text entry box. But on top of that, we are going to ask them something. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and say text entry, and then you're going to see here where text entry, I get a whole bunch of things here, right? It gets a little bit messy. So basically, here's a little submit button. I'll just drag that over here. Okay, here is going to be a little hint if you want to have a hint. Okay, and then here actually is the box. Okay, so I'm going to, on top of that, just say, what is your name? And that's just regular text. What is your name? Put that right there, and I'm going to make this a little wider. Okay, fantastic. Now, do I want to have a hint? I'm going to go ahead and click on action. I'm going to say, no, thank you. I don't want to have a hint. Right, you've probably seen that before. So pretty straightforward. Bam, I'm going to get rid of that. All right, now, how do I make it so when somebody types something in here, because this is, remember what we did, text entry, when somebody types something in here, it collects that for later use, okay? So I need to actually make this, instead of the style tab inside the properties panel, I need to apply that variable on here. So I'm basically kind of giving this a little bit more of a kind of a special power than just regular text, because somebody could certainly type in there, but I want to refer back to it later on when I'm going to say, well, welcome, David, or well, David, we noticed it, or congratulations, David, you did this and this and that. So we're going to be calling this person by their name all throughout, but we're going to have 100 people taking this test or taking this module. So we want to have their name gone all throughout. So depending on what they put in here, it's going to change. All right. So what I need to do next is come over to here to my style tab where it says variable, this generic text entry box. No, I don't want that. I want it to be username. See that? Now, when somebody puts their information in, it's going to be encapsulated and captured into Captivate, so later on we can refer back to it. Okay? So that's going to be the first part, but we're not done because I want to be able to refer back to it. So notice here on slide 3, I have, nice to meet you, blah, blah, right? So I now need to refer back to that variable. Okay, so here I am with this little blinking cursor, and guess what? Just like how I did with my system variables earlier, I'm just going to insert a variable, which is now going to be a user variable that's going to refer back to slide number 2 when we've collected the information. So let's check it out process-wise. Bam, here it is, user, select variable, username, very cool, right? Let's make that 100. We don't know what people's names are, so we can make that wider just in case. I click OK, and then bam, that's good to go. And let's test it out. Let's see the magic. So I'm going to go over to here, start from slide number 2, preview. Let's go ahead and do next 5 slides. All right, and then, I don't know, this time maybe I'll be Barbara. All right, so you can see here, it's a nice blinking cursor, right? Why? Because it is text entry. All right, that's the first part. But the next part here is the ability to then collect that information so it can be referred to once again. So when I click on submit and I go to the next slide, wait for it. Nice to meet you, Barbara. How cool is that? It now referred back to this, right? So let's continue on with that. So I'm going to go ahead and just say edit, and I'm going to get rid of that extra little space there. And I'm going to come back over to here, and guess what? I could either type these out if you start to memorize them, or very easily copy and paste. Okay, and then bring this in there, paste that in there, right? Just did Control V, and now bam, that's going to be there. Okay, so very cool. So let's just do one more. So as you can see the process, now I'm going to collect some information about their department. Okay, so let's go over to here, say what is your name, what is your department? Okay, so let's go ahead and bring this up a little bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another variable. Same deal. So I'm going to go over to here to project. Let's say variables, user, add new this time. Okay, I'll just say DPT, DPT. Okay. What is the user's department? Okay, that's great. And I can say, okay, no different here, but we're starting to be a lot more dynamic with the kind of things that we can collect, and it'll be a lot more fun. So I'm going to go ahead and just say close. And again, I'm going to say text entry box. And come over to here. And you know what? This time, I don't actually think I need another submit, so I can get rid of that submit. This is still here. Don't worry about it. And then I'm just going to go ahead and copy this. A nice little shortcut. I can just hold down the Control key and drag. All right, and held down the Shift key as well to make that aligned. Say, what is your department? Cool. Or is it? Because guess what? This does not have any variable associated with it. Oh, okay. What do I got to do? Come back over to here and say, oh, let's actually ask people for their department here. Collect that information and apply it later on. Okay, so let's go and continue on. We'll come over to here. Nice to meet you, Dave. All right, I'm going to get rid of this part here. We see that you are in the blank department. Nice. Okay, so in the blank department, what am I going to do? Very simply, insert that in there. Insert variable. What variable? The department variable. And then again, you can make that a little bit bigger because a lot of people have pretty big, beefy departments. I might need to make that a little wider just in case. All right, and great, fantastic. It's looking really good, looking scary impressive. And now let's give it a whirl and let's just see the information we've collected and how that's going to carry us through, all throughout, a variety of different things. Of course, you can go ahead and continue going on from on and on and on and just whatever, just put some information in here, congratulations, whatever it is, you can continue on from here. All right, so I'm going to go ahead, we'll just test it out, and then maybe we'll do a little bit more after this. Maybe we'll learn how we can apply different certificates, right? And certainly referring back to people's names. All right, but let's go ahead and test it out. Let's see how this is going to look. I'm going to say preview. Let's go ahead and check it out in our browser. And looking at everything, look at our system variables, look at our user variables, slide name, project name. That's cool. I love that. Sponsored by Learnit. Okay, looks awesome. Cool. What is your name? This time my name's Dave, and I'm in training. Proud to be. All right, and then I'm going to hit submit. Nice to meet you, Dave. Okay, very good. I like that. We see that you are in the training department. Nice. Dave, are you ready? Oh my God, this is so personalized. This is for me. How so exciting this is, right? I mean, that's just such a cool thing. All right, so again, pause the video, practice up, see how this works for you. If you have a real project you are working outside of this, even better. All right, so we'll see you in the next lesson and have fun. Let's do one last lesson working with variables where I'm going to show you how you can bring in certificates of completion to congratulate people or whatever it is, but it's going to automatically feed in their information that we collected from them here. So let me go ahead and just make this a little bit more complete. What is your full name? Or maybe you want to say, what is your first and last name? Something like that, okay? Now, again, we're kind of setting them up so we can have their information all captured and collected from Captivate so we can then feed it in to something like a certificate. So where am I going to find certificates? So you can make your own certificate if you want to. You can certainly bring something in with your own background and your own text, because now that we know how to work with system variables and user variables, we can then populate it on our own. But let me show you a nice place where you can get them without having to put in a whole lot of effort at all, and then pretty much get the thing that you want and get the message and the outcome that you want. So very simply, I'm going to go over to here to my assets. We're going to be exploring these a little bit more in some upcoming lessons, and maybe you've watched Captivate 3 to see what we did in the last lesson working with our assets. So I'm going to click on this assets, and then you're going to see here I have different slides and projects and all kinds of good stuff I can work with here. We even looked at some 360 assets, right? In case you didn't, if you need some more for us to explore from what we did in that last class, the last lesson. So I'm going to go over here to projects, and this time I'm going to do a search for cert, right? And what's going to bring up? A whole bunch of really neat looking certificates. Okay, so you can see these are all nice pre-built. Again, feel free to customize this. You can absolutely do it on your own if you want to, but I'm just going to go ahead and just bring in one of these. And sometimes it can take a little bit of time just depending on your internet speed and Captivate's mood and Adobe's mood. But you can see it's getting it pretty amazingly from the Captivate store. And I'm just going to go ahead and just drag that to the bottom. And this is going to be ultimately where I want people to see, hey, you were successful. You did the thing that, you were meant out to do. And this is where their kind of end sort of resting place is going to be. Now, when I come here, you're going to see it says certificate of completion, Okay, great. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. Right? Or I might even just say, congratulations, right? Just notice how I can actually change this to whatever I want. Okay, you can see that. Okay, very cool. And now this part, it's just a placeholder. I've already done all the hard work to make it so I have my own So guess what? I can go ahead and get rid of this and then bring in my own variable. So there I am, insert variable, user, and it's going to be username. Click OK, and then bam, that's going to be there. Okay, of the blank, what am I going to put in here? Guess what? Department. Okay, and I'll capitalize that. Cool. And then to certify that they have completed blah. And then this is a system variable, right? So it's like, oh, okay, that's pretty standard. So I don't have to change that, nor do I want to change that unless I'm going to delete it. And that's going to be built right in. Okay, so very cool. So now if I were to preview this right now, right, I'm just assuming they're going to kind of come to this. Let's go ahead and just take a look at it. It's going to be empty because I haven't actually filled anything in yet. Okay, but you're going to see, maybe that's not the best example. Let's go ahead and try that out. I'm going to have to run through the entire thing. Let's go ahead and go from the beginning. Let's just say HTML5. And I do need to put in some information. That's the thing. I can't just show it and be lazy about it. Okay, so bam, I do that. What is your full name? Bob Bobenstein. Okay, what is your department? I'll just say training. Sure. Submit. Okay, and then continue. Cool. We'll go through this. Okay, when recording a software simulation, you can manually take your own screenshots by pressing the keyboard shortcut. I'll say that's true. Check answer. Got it. Keep going. You can open libraries from other Captivate projects. I'm going to say that's false. Okay, sorry. Oh, man, bummer. Okay, you can only import ways. Okay, that's also false. Okay, come to here. Click and keep going. Okay, fantastic. Sorry you failed. All right, very good. So I'm going to keep going, but I just want you to see ultimately, bam, here it is with all my information in here. Now, with the quiz itself, you can make these changes, right? You can say, hey, when they finish here, where do you want them to go? Okay, so what would you do if you wanted somebody to go directly to this after the fact that they've collected everything and they've also passed? You would have to go back into your quiz preferences, and then you would tell them that, hey, for this quiz, when somebody passes, I want them, this action, to go to a particular slide. And then in this case, it's certificate 01. You can see, bam, that is what's going to happen when they pass. Okay, do you see that? And then you may also have another one that says, hey, sorry, Bob Bobenstein, you did not pass. So bam, do that, right? So whatever you want to do, but just know that you can link people up and you can use variables for all these things here. Okay, very good. And now let's go ahead and test it out one more time. I'm going to go ahead and preview the entire thing. And this time, let's hope that I can pass. Here I go. All right, very good. Bob Bobenstein. There we go. All right, true. Okay, true. False. All right, and when I say continue, wait for it to finish the slide. Awesome, there it is. Fantastic, takes me there. Beauty, beauty, beauty. So cool. Very, very helpful. And check out some of those other assets. We're going to be looking at a few other ones to kind of dovetail us into this next level of other kinds of variables and other kinds of advanced actions. But check them out, see what else is available. There are really nice gifts coming from Captivate, so check it out. But right now we are talking about variables. We did system variables, we did user variables in many, many different capacities, many, many different types of actions for different purposes. So check those out, practice them, experience them, put them to use, and have fun. And we'll see you in the next lesson. In this next set of lessons, we're going to be exploring some of the assets that Captivate provides for us. Now, we're going to use these assets, number one, not only to create some very complex and very usable and pretty neat interactions for our users, but we're also going to use this as sort of an introduction to learn about advanced actions. Now, advanced actions are going to allow us to have kind of connections between a button or some type of action that then triggers or changes the state of another object someplace else. Okay. Now I'm going to show you an example of these, and then I'm going to show you how we can actually access these. Then we're going to go under the hood and see how we can understand it, deconstruct it, and then of course, customize it. All right. So if we take a look at this timeline, and we're going to go from piece to piece on all of these to explore kind of what's what, and then we're going to do individual lessons on them. So if we take a look at this timeline, I'm just going to go ahead and preview it so you can see. I'm going to go ahead and next 5 slides. And you're going to see now, as I click on each of these, not only I get a little mouse over thing here, that's great. And it tells me here this is subtopic 1. You'll also notice because I'm currently on this one, this is the active button, it gets highlighted there. And you can see subtopic 1, I click on that, and then that is subtopic 2. That is going to be 3, etc., just like that. Right? You'll notice how this changes as well. So how is this actually happening? Guess what? We're going to understand how this is happening, and we're going to be able to not have to put a whole lot of effort into actually making this our own after the fact. All right. Now, first question is, how do I actually get this if I wanted this on my own? So if I go over here to my assets panel over there on the upper right, you're going to see this is going to take me to this really, really great library that are free from Captivate for you to access these. Now, I can go through all these. You'll see here that there's scenario, there's layouts, menus, all kinds of really neat things if you haven't explored these. And maybe we'll go into a little more detail than what I have presented here, but I just want to focus on just our scenarios and interactions for right now. And you can see as I could scroll down, and we'll see we have lots and lots to work with here, right? Very much for, interacting in a much more kind of visually friendly and visually engaging way. Now, I know this is a timeline, so I'm going to go ahead and search for it. I'm going to type out timeline and go over to here to interactions. And then bam, you can see there's the one that I was looking for. If you want to make it so it doesn't filter by, one in particular, you can just go ahead and click on them, right, on and off. You'll be able to see you'll have more or less in terms of your filter. Now, this is how I brought this one in, but you see there's lots and lots of timeline options for you. So depending on what you want to do, and lots of different kind of interactions. So if you want to go back to our Captivate class 3, you'll actually see we've done some stuff on drag and drop as well. All right. Now, let's go ahead and deconstruct this a little bit. Now, I'm going to be talking about states, which you've seen before, right? We've talked about states for buttons, and I'm also going to be talking about advanced interactions, which I've alluded to a little bit in some previous lessons, but we're going to get a little bit deeper into these so we can see what they are, where they are, kind of what they're doing, and this is going to set us up for when we start doing these things from scratch in future lessons, okay? Now, these are buttons. We've explored that already. Now, buttons by nature have their own states. Okay, so a state could be a rollover state when somebody mouses over it. A state could be when somebody has already visited it, when they click down on it. Okay, so how do you want the user to sort of engage with those individual buttons? What do you want them to see? What do you want them to feel, right? You want to kind of make it a little more kind of kinesthetic and tactile for them. So what we do, okay, first of all, this is just a basic shape, and this was made into a button. I'm sure you know this already. And you're going to see here, I'm going to go over here to state view, and you'll see that, okay, very good. This is one state view. This is another. This is another. This is another. Okay, so if I wanted to, for example, have when somebody mouses over this, I'm going to just have it have like a nice simple red stroke around it. That's going to be maybe 5 points. Okay, that's great. So when somebody mouses over it, notice it says roll over here. Okay, that allows me to then have that engagement with my user. When they click down on it, I might want it to have, a little bit of a different kind of fill, for example. So let's just go ahead and maybe do kind of a light gray fill. Okay, so they're getting that kind of interaction. All right, so this came with Captivate, right? That's the beautiful thing. I didn't really have to do a whole lot. Okay, but this came with it. So it's really cool that I can just go right into the state view knowing that it's already been done on many, many levels, but then I can customize this on my own. So now let's go ahead and preview this. And we're going to see all the work I did with the state view. Now when I mouse over it, bam, I get that. And when I click down on it, I get that. And it still keeps all those other elements that I'm going to show you in just a minute. Okay. Now, of course, I might want to change this to something else, right? So I'm going to change this to 2022. Okay. Very good. And if we go over to our state view, okay, you'll notice how all of them also reflect that same change. All right. So really cool. Okay. So for some of you, that might be a little review, but it's also just nice to know that we can go into our assets and find something pretty neat if we wanted to. Now, keep in mind, if you wanted to also, if you didn't like this, hexagon, you could change it to something else if you want to. Bam, you have that there. And if we go back into our state view, let's see here. Oh, wow, look how cool that is. It also makes the changes there for us. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and undo that. But just know how flexible this is. All right, I'm going to go ahead and put that back. Bam, and there we are. And that should maintain everything that I did before. Okay, excellent. Now, let's go ahead and see what's going on and why and how is it allowing me to go from kind of slide to slide or frame to frame or kind of layer to layer on this. And that has to do with an action. Some of you may have seen already when you click on a button, one of the actions might be go to the next slide or open up a URL, open up a file, play some audio. Okay, so this action is going to be an executive advanced action. Okay, let me go ahead and zoom in on that. You can see on success, all this is saying here is, hey, play some type of action, right? And it's like, I don't even know what that means, right? All I know is that it's doing what I want it to do at this point. So what I need to do is go under the hood a little bit to understand what that advanced action is. And you can see here, it is the script, timeline, da-da-da. Oh, okay. Well, that's interesting. So let's just see what that even is so we can then deconstruct it. If I want to get into this action, I have to go over here to this advanced actions, and that's going to open up to my advanced actions dialog box. Now this can be pretty busy, so I'm not going to go into too much detail quite yet, but I want you to see here, first of all, this is telling me that this is the name of the action. All right, timeline 01 tab 1. Okay, that's fine. All right, and then there's all kinds of elements happening down here that these are the actual actions. Change the state of blah, 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 blah. Okay, we're going to deconstruct this in a little bit, but essentially all we're using is a bunch of state changes. All right, and it's all bundled up inside of this one particular action. And all it's saying here is, hey, when somebody clicks on this, make those things happen. All right, now, we don't really have to worry about, at this stage, creating the action. It's already done. All we need to know is like, well, what's actually going on? What's the mechanism? It's like if you're driving your car, you don't necessarily need to know how to build the car. You just need to know where to put in the gas and turn on the engine and turn on the windshield wipers and all that stuff. And that's essentially what we're allowed to do now because of these amazing assets that's already been created for us. All right. So, for example, I'm going to go ahead and click on this layer right here because if you recall, when I previewed it, this layer was the main thing that was changing, right? This introduction. And I want you to notice this is timeline content 7. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just refresh your memory. Let's go ahead and go back. And I want you to see when I click on each of those individual buttons, that is what changes. All right, that is very important to understand because guess what? That changes, right? That subtopic 02, 03. Okay, great. So that changes, that changes, that changes. Okay, great. So why is that going to be relevant for me? Because this, in fact, has its own set of states. In that action, we have asked it to change the state of this particular layer. All right, so we go back to this again. For my actions, I'm going to click on this. We're going to see here, remember that, change the state of time content 7 to content 1. Oh, how interesting. Let me close this. What about this one? Come over to here. Notice how it's a different script, tab 02. I click on that, and this is going to say, oh, change the state of the same layer timeline content 7 to content 2. Okay, we're starting to see a pattern. Let's click on this one and notice how it says tab 3. And let's take a look. You can probably predict content 03, right? So we're starting to see a pattern. All right, now you're probably way ahead of me at this point, but let's go ahead and take a look at, guess what? The state view for this particular layer. I bet you're probably understanding now that there are a lot of different states, right? Probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 states for this particular layer, right? So I can click on state view, and guess what? There is subtopic 1, subtopic 2. Oh, wow. Oh, look at that. That's where these things are happening from, right? That is where it's being derived from. So I would go in here and I would actually make my changes. So now I'm in the belly of the beast, right? I'm right here in the ability to make my edits and make the changes, so then they will become live. Okay, so if I'm doing my timeline, I'll say, okay, 2022. Well, actually, if we're doing a timeline, let's go back in time a little more. Let's say 1992. Okay, that's great. All right, and now, bam, I have that there. Cool, fantastic, super happy with that, right? And then I'm just gonna go ahead and preempt this, all right? And this will be 1994, all right? Keep going. Okay, 1998, all right, and let's jump ahead into the future. Okay, 2004, and then we'll just say today. All right, and now when I get out of this, I would probably want to make some changes to this. Okay, so let's just go ahead and say 1992. I've already forgotten my years, but let's go 1994. 1998, 2004, and today. Okay, excellent. Now let's see it in action. What can we expect? When we click on this first one, we're going to have a little bit of a state view difference, because when I mouse over it, I'm going to go ahead and get all those elements there, okay, in terms of the rollover and all that good stuff. And then each individual button will then display their respective years as I click on them, because why? I change them in the state view, and that state view relates to each of the button's actions, their advanced actions that says, hey, change the state of blah, blah, blah. Okay, very cool. Now, let's go ahead and preview it. So preview, say next 5 slides. And away we go. So there we go. Cool, 1992. That feels very complete. 1994, oh man, so cool. All right, awesome, cool, nice. Oh man, that feels great. Let's go ahead and close that. And if you're like me, you're probably asking, well, what about all these other elements? Okay, it's all fine and good that I can change the button title. I can also change the title of the little frame down on the bottom, but what about these images? And what about all this content here? Guess what? It's the same concept. So earlier, right, because this is the trigger, I was able to show you that these have a whole lot of individual actions. So if we come back to here, we break this apart, we're going to see, okay, there's a lot of state changing that's happened here, right? You can see, oh, right? So let's actually just understand what's actually happening rather than trying to understand all that nonsense, right? Especially since it's named in a very generic way. I might want to take a look at, let's say, this image here, and I can see, oh, timeline content image. Okay, well, what did I just do for my title? Oh, I bet there's different states, aren't there? Because everything inside of that advanced action was changing the state of something. Let's go to here. Timeline content caption. I bet that there is also for that too. Okay, great. So whenever somebody clicks on this, this changes, and this changes. Oh, okay, cool. So as an example, let's just go ahead and use this for 1992 or whatever, that I'm going to change the state of that. So therefore, the text reflects that. So let's go ahead and do that one. And I'm going to go back into here. And then where do I go? I go to my state view. All right. So states are so important. So you can see, bam, there that is. And by the way, you might even want to rename these, right? So you can just say rename state and just make that 1992, right? Why not? It's going to be much easier for your brain. Okay, you actually have to do underscore, I believe, 1992. Right, it does not like having numbers at first. Let's see if it's going to take that. Nope, must be alphanumeric. Okay, we'll just say year 1992. Okay, very good. All right, now you can see, fantastic. All right, that's going to be 1992. Let's go to here. And 1992 was a pivotal year for our company. Bob sat in his garage working tirelessly. Okay, great. Okay, fantastic. All right, so now that's all set up. Okay, now if we come back out of this, let's also take a look at this image. Okay, let's go over to here to our state view. And we're going to see, oh, okay, good. This is what it is for the normal view, right? Meaning before they even click on a button. Cool, do we want to change that? Very easily. You can see here is an image that I can change that and change it to a completely different image if I want to, just by clicking on this and then finding another image if I like, right? Just find it if you want, or go ahead and import it. And you can import it from any of these if you like. All right, so up to you. I'm not going to do that right now because I don't have to spend time formatting it. But you see how easy it is to do that. For content 1, okay, very good. You can see, nice. I can go ahead and do that. Super easy, same process, just the same. All right, and then if I were to change it, if I were to come back to this, I'll be able to see it there. Now, of course, I would want to rename this. And let's now learn from our previous lesson, 1992. Very good strategy to be organized with things. All right, now let's go and exit out of the state. It's really coming together. And then again, here is this initial picture. That's in our normal state for this image box here. All right, so let's go ahead and just do one final little preview of this. And let's see that, yes, I have this. And guess what? That changes 1992, 1992, fantastic. And if I wanted to change that image, you can see there it is. I just have to change the state view. So you see, it's relatively straightforward. There is a logical flow to all of this. It's just a matter of understanding states, having a good foundation with them, understanding that most objects can have states associated with them. So keeping that in mind, a lot of people think very sort of two-dimensionally or very linearly and very kind of limitedly about what we can do, right? But if we start thinking about how everything is sort of changeable and we can have those potential changes available for ourselves, we can work with state views and then trigger them to be changed depending on what is clicked and what is shown. All right. So this is just one example. I'm going to go ahead and have you pause the video for a little bit. Check out this timeline interaction and scenario. Check out some of the other assets if you want to. Look under the hood, and then please try to make some changes to it as well. Okay, to really kind of take ownership of it, make it your own. All right. So we're going to come back. We're going to do a few more assets and interactions and scenarios, and we're going to, again, have that as a good foundation and baseline for our lessons on working with some advanced interactions from a custom, more manual perspective. Okay, so pause the video, have fun, and we'll see you in the next lesson. Let's go ahead and take a look at another interaction. Now, this is going to be a nice little pop-up action, seemingly simple, but there's a lot going on under the hood. So we want, when our user sees these little sort of cards here, when they mouse over it, it's going to change color, right? And then when they click on it, something's going to pop up on there. And when they click on this, another thing's going to pop up. Just little bits of information, like maybe a bulleted list, maybe it could be an image, something like that. And we also want them to have the ability to close it when the thing pops up, right? So an object pops up and we want them to close it, say, hey, get out of my way. And then they can go to the next card, and go from there. All right, so let's just see what this looks like. Go ahead and preview. Next 5 slides. And you'll see that when I mouse over, pretty cool. Got all that. That's nice. And then when I click on it, you're going to notice a whole bunch of things pop up. I got this nice little gray box, makes everything a little bit kind of dimmed in the back. I have this little white box, right? And I also have all this content here that I can change and customize. Then I have the ability to close this. And then when I close it, it comes back to this. Okay, so nothing is really happening kind of accidentally, right? So you'll see that, okay, and also because this has been, visited, it also comes out as a certain color. Click on that. Cool. All right, so there's really a lot going on here. Now, let's deconstruct what's going on. All right, now a lot of this is going to be most likely familiar to you at this point, right? Because we've already talked about state views and we talked about advanced interactions, but other things might be a little bit different. All right, and that's going to be kind of the show and hide of the different layers. Okay, so I want you to notice here that this right here, this buttons with pop-up info 26 is actually hidden. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click on that. I want you to see here that is actually hidden, right? It's hidden from my view right now, but it's also hidden in the properties panel saying, hey, buttons with pop-up info 26 is hidden by default. So pretty much like at runtime, this is not going to be showing, right? It says not visible in output. It's not going to be showing unless it is triggered to be shown. Okay, so it's kind of an important thing here. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on this little eyeball. So then it's not showing for me as I'm working on all of these. All right. And of course, all of these can be customized, right? I have my little text box here. You can do everything you want here. Now, when I click on this, you'll notice here is in fact a button. Okay, that's great. And it in fact does have what? It has an action on it and it has, Bob, this is going to happen. And it also has a state, just like a lot of buttons do and a lot of objects do. So when I click on that, no surprise here, there is my rollover state, here's my down state, and then here is my visited state. Okay, and all of these are going to have that same set of properties. Let's go ahead and get out of that. Okay, so hopefully no surprises there. Now, when I come back to my Actions tab, and I see here, here's the script, buttons with pop-up, da-da-da. Okay, that's the name of the script. I click on that. You can see once again, that is the name of the script right here. And then here are all the individual actions built into it. Now, what is in fact going on? I am disabling, I'm hiding, I'm showing, and then here's change the state of. Okay, it's like, oh, okay, well, I need to really know these layers that it's referring to. I'm disabling certain things, right? I'm disabling button pop-up. Okay, great. So I don't want people to be able to even like use that particular thing. I'm hiding a certain thing when somebody clicks on that. Okay, I need to go in here and say, oh, what is that even talking about? Okay, great. Oh, it's this right here. I don't want that interfering with it. So I can make that as part of these set of advanced actions to make it all disappear. Okay, or make this particular layer disappear. All right. Then you're also going to have show buttons with pop-ups. Okay, that's the one that I said was going to be invisible. So I want that to show up there. We're going to take a look at that in a second. All right, and then I also want to make that little X appear as well, and that's my show. So let's just go ahead and get out of this for a second. I'm going to make this once again reappear, and then I'm going to go to the state view. So I'm going to go ahead and select this, go to the state view, so you can see what in fact is going on. You can see that's what I saw a second ago. Bam, there it is, there's that, there's that. So let's now just customize this so you can see what you would be doing if you love this and you want to use it. All right, so I'll just say, let's just say, okay, we want to kind of give some explanation about who our CEO is. All right, this is Bob Smith. Okay, and then blah, blah, blah. Okay, great. So we already got that set up. Okay, and now his VPO is Gloria Mackey. All right, and then bam, VP. Okay, great. So you can see what we're starting to do here, right? Very similar to what we did in our last lesson, but this is how we get under the hood, all right? Now this part can be a little bit kind of tricky, right? Because, wait, it was hidden. So I needed to actually see it. Then I needed to actually go into the state view of these to be able to see, oh, okay, each of these has their own state, okay, each of those, okay? But guess what? Each of these individual buttons are going to be triggering one of those states, okay? So just keep in mind how that all works, right? So it's going to be very specific about that. And so again, just understand that you may not be creating any of this stuff from scratch, so it might not be super like, oh my God, I got to memorize all these things. Just understand how to sort of drive your car, right? That's it. It's like, I know how to drive the car. I don't need to know how to build it. I just need to know how to operate it. And that's where a lot of you may just said, listen, I'm done with advanced actions in terms of creating them, but I'd love to actually get under the hood and customize them. Okay, so don't be super intimidated by it, but do try to understand kind of the method to the madness. Okay, now you'll also see that there is this guy right here, this little X. It's kind of weirdly placed. It has nothing to do with this little piece of tape here, right? It really has everything to do with that little pop-up that comes up, and that its action is to do what? Is to actually close something, right? So when you click on that, it's like, what's actually happening, right? It's going to be hiding, a whole bunch of things here, and then enable, some other things that might want to come back again. All right, so again, it's just knowing what your layers are is going to be really important for you. Okay, so I'll go ahead and close that out. All right, so just kind of, rewind if you need to, just kind of watch it again and again to really understand what's going on. Then there is a method to the madness, so I think that'll really help you understand the logical flow to it. All right, now that we know what we know, now we know kind of how the sausage is made, let's now watch it again. And let's just kind of do a little narrative and understanding about what's what and why things are happening. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and preview this. And we understand about our state views. Okay, so let's just see again what's going on here. So when somebody mouses over it, cool, they have these things here. Okay, that's great. Now when somebody clicks on this, remember what's going to happen. We're going to have that little pop-up. Okay, and a few things. This appears here, right? Whatever thing's going to be down there, it also disappears. And then of course, there's all the content that I customized. That's great. And there's my X, okay? And that's also has its own little state when somebody mouses over it. We'll take a look at that in a second, but you can probably guess how that's done. You see very easily, bam, that comes up. Cool, there's Gloria Mackey. Okay, great, 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 cool. And I come out of that. All right, fantastic. All right, and there's my visited. Click on that, cool. And now all three are visited, so they all three have those colors. So it's really very cool. And then when you break it down, it's not that crazy complicated. Okay, so let's just, as I promised, let me just go back into the state view here so we can see, oh, how did that turn orange when I moused over it? Nice little effect. Oh, that's how it's doing it. Okay, so really cool stuff. Okay, and guess what? I did not have to build this from scratch. And guess what? You can customize any of these elements here to match your own. Okay, so something that can otherwise look very complex, but still have a lot of interactivity for the user, a lot of engagement, can be done within, a matter of an hour, potentially. All right, so go ahead, pause the video, practice this, watch the video again and again if you need to, really try to understand it. If you don't understand, about states, back up a little bit, go ahead and learn more about the states, try to create these things if you need to, go and get other assets from the assets panel and really explore these. And these are all yours to keep also. Some of you may not actually have access to the assets panel for whatever reason. It could be that maybe you need to upgrade or talk to your system administrator about it, but Captivate does give you access to these, so you should ultimately have access if you don't. So just check into that. All right. So again, pause the video, have fun, and we'll see you in the next lesson. And welcome back, everybody. In this lesson, we're going to continue on this conversation of working with our advanced actions, working with the assets. All right. If you recall, we can go to our assets panel and grab a whole bunch. And what we're going to do in this exercise is work with Flipcards. So when somebody clicks on this, they're going to get some bits of information behind it. So let's go ahead and take a look at the next 5 slides. We can see this one and then the one following it. Click on that, and then guess what? I click on that, and then what? Holy cow, look at that. I want some information about this. This is a little button, And then cool, look at that. It flips, nice little animation, and that does the same thing. Let's go to our next one. Something very similar, slightly different layout. Maybe you prefer this one. Very nice, excellent. Now, for those of you who want to get this for yourself, once again, you can go over here to your assets and go over to here to, I'll just type out flip, and you're going to see lots of ones available for us, so check them out. Or you can, of course, create your own because you're about to learn how to do this. All right, now, what actually is going on? How is this even happening, right? Pretty magical, and you'd be surprised how simple this is in terms of what actions are actually happening. So when I click on this, you're going to see, of course, this is a button, right? And when I moused over it, it showed me a little hand, everything like that. Cool, I know that's a button. It says use as button. Here's my little hand cursor, some stuff that should be reviewed for you by this point. Then you'll also notice here I have an advanced action, and I have this little script. So let's look under the hood and see what is going on. Like, surprisingly, very little. Okay, so you can see, all right, well, this is the name of that action. And then all that's happening here is we're saying, hey, change the state of what? Flip card 1v241. That's this, that's the one that's active. Oh, okay, just changing the state. What am I changing the state of? Okay, right, so buttons have individual states. So the state of this is being changed to active. Okay, well, I'm still a little bit confused. That's going to be all clarified in a moment. I also, and this is really cool, this is a little bit different than what you may have seen, I can apply an effect. Okay, see that? When you double click on these, you can see we have all these actions here, right? You can see one of them is going to be applying an effect, right? So let's just go ahead and find that since I just disabled that. And you can see it's going to be buried, apply effect, and what effect do you want it to put in there? Okay, let's find that. For which object? Okay, now I'm already lost. Let's see here, go to emphasis, and let's just try a different one. Let's do spin, that's pretty good. Okay, and this is going to be flip card 01. And there we are. Okay, good. All right, excellent. So now we're going to see that. And of course, we can try a different one if we want to. All right, and we're also going to disable it, right? So it's not kind of getting in its own way, because you might find that if you're not disabling it, then you're going to see that, oh, wait a second, why is this on top of it? All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and just close that. I'm going to say don't save in case I kind of mucked it up a bit. Okay, now let's see what is actually happening with the whole change the state of, because that is really the most important part here, because this particular button, as it were, has actually two states. One is this normal state, and then guess what? On the back of it is this active state. Remember what we said? We said, hey, change the state to active, but we also want to make it, when it changes the state, put this really cool effect on there, right, to make it do blah, blah, blah. Oh, wow. So now we're learning something a little bit different, a little bit more interesting. Like, okay, neat. So that's here. This is here. Okay, here's our normal view. Here is our active view. All right, let me come back out of this. And again, just show you one more time so that's clear. Go here to my actions, come over to here to see it. And you can see here, it's changing the state of this to active. And it's going to apply the effect of that, right, of that particular object to spin. Okay, really cool. Now you'll also notice that because I have an effect on there, I click on that, it's going to give me some options here. It's like, wait a second, how long does that take? Do I want it to ease in, ease out? You know, all that stuff I'll be able to customize because this is a particular kind of effect, right? So really, really cool. So now let's watch it now that we understand it a little bit better. See what's going on there. And again, recall, this is a nice little button, and recall what my actions are. I click on that, nice, nice, and nice. Very neat. All right, so let's go ahead and just take a look at this one. And by the way, just taking a look at this little master slide, This is nicely set up because this master slide has the 3 placeholders in there, right? It's kind of cool. All right, this one was created a little more custom. All right, but just keep that in mind. Some of these are already kind of built in. All right, so let's take a look at this one. See, very similar. And that is just so slick, so neat, right? So just compact, and it just has like a lot of intention and purpose behind it. Okay, just really tight. All right, so you're going to see how this is going to be very, very similar. Let's look at the state view for this. Right, let's start with that for now. Oh, look at that. No difference here, but I can customize this. All right, let's just go ahead and do that. Cranes are nice. Okay. I love cranes. Okay. Cool. I got that. Right. So that's going to be when somebody flips over it. All right. Now, let's go ahead and come back to our actions. I'm going to get out of state view. And let's check it out. Let's go to actions, come over to here. And you can see, okay, there might be a little bit more on this particular one, what it needs to hide and everything, but you can see it's changing the state to active, applying the effect of, oh, you know what? Let's go ahead and maybe do a different one. So maybe I'm going to try a different effect. Okay, so you can see here, all right, what do you want to do? Maybe you want to just kind of fade in or something like that. Here's emphasis again. Maybe you want it to flicker, free fall, right? Look at all the different things that you have here. You want it to rotate, everything. So I'm just going to do free fall for right now. Click on that, say, well, how long do you want it to take? Okay, I'll make it take about 2 seconds. Cool. All right, let's close that. Save it. Close it. Let's do the same thing for this one. Let's maybe now change that kind of spinning thing to slightly something different. Come back over to here. And see, notice we're on a completely different card here. And this time for my spin, I don't know, let's just try to do ease, spin ease. Let's maybe make that 100%. Maybe it's a little more graceful. Effect duration, so maybe just make that 1 second. All right, say save, say okay. All right, and now let's just see what we've just done. And that really all is about experimentation, isn't it? So have fun with it. Now that we understand kind of the method to the madness, we'll be able to see what we can do. So that's going to be a nice little, now of course that does not work. Is this one going to work? Okay, that's a little bit better. So I would probably change that. And this is why we experiment. Okay, so then it's very easy to come right back and make that change. Okay, so I'm going to change this again. No problem. Double click on it. Go over here to emphasis. Come down to spin. Okay, and now I'll be good to go, right? Not an issue, but then of course I can change that to be whatever I want, right, in terms of anything else there. So this time I'll do an ease in, close, save, okay. All right, now let's go ahead and test it out. Cool, like that. Cool, like that. All right. So pretty complex stuff, but not that sophisticated, not that complicated. Okay. So that's what's so cool about this, right? And you want to actually try to go in a little bit deeper into some of these assets, but you're going to start to see again that kind of rhyme and reason and method to the madness to a lot of these. So what we've explored is a great deal of types of advanced actions we can be doing. All right, so if we back up here a little bit, we started off with our states. Okay, so when we clicked on this, we're able to see, oh, well, what do we have here? We have a whole bunch of different change the state of, right? So this particular button has an action that has a lot of things that are happening. And what's happening? All of these other elements are changing their state. Okay, certainly this has its own state applied to it, but this is in control of changing. It's kind of governing what other things you're going to do because of those advanced actions. We come to here, right? We definitely have our own set of states here. Okay, so really nice, very cool. We have that. But then we also have our advanced action that's bringing up a little pop-up, right? That's making something show that was otherwise invisible, right? Remember that layer right here was invisible, right? It was invisible on output, right? So it's like, okay, great. But then we're making it show, and a few other things. We want that to show up. And then we also want this X to show up, and we want that X to say, hey, you know what? Close everything, disable things, make things hidden, and then come back to this. Okay, so again, let's go ahead and take a look at our actions. Let's go ahead and take a look at this one here. Okay, great. So you can see it's going to disable a whole bunch of things. It's going to hide certain things, but it's going to show, right, most importantly, all of these. Now, I can't stress this enough, is making sure that your layer names are going to be easy for you to understand. Great. This is going to be really critical. So therefore, you're not going to be like just kind of like, what does all this mean? Because right now, this is not your stuff, so it's probably feeling a lot more confusing than it would be if you were creating all of these and you were to name them appropriately with some relevant names that are related to the kind of stuff that you're working on. Okay? And then this last bit here, again, very similar, where we had a state and we had some actions, but this was a little bit different, okay? Where we actually had the state view for this is just showing up like this, and then the trick is to make it so the active state that we want it to show is just the text, right? So instead of being a certain color, it's just the text that says, okay, great. So I want them to show there, okay? But remember, the key thing to make it have that kind of cool, interactive effect is to say, hey, listen, when somebody does click on it with this action, what do you want to have happen? I want to have this effect of spin show up so it looks like it's spinning around and around and around, okay? And then you can kind of do whatever you want here, okay? So again, pause the video, practice all of these, if not more, go and explore, have fun with it, try to have a good grasp on what advanced actions can do, what states can do, what some of these effects can do, working with our layers, making them appear, right? And then again, take advantage of these assets, use them. And if you want to try to create something on your own, you can go ahead and do that as well. But this maybe should suffice for you. Okay, we'll see you in the next lesson. Up until this point, we have talked about advanced actions and states and variables. And many of the examples that I've shown you have been manual, but many of them have already been preset and pre-designed and pre-configured from Captivate. In this series of lessons, we're going to see how we can create them all from scratch. And we're going to be doing a pretty fun but relatively complex set of steps to be able to show people certain things based off of a button, but we're also going to be doing a series of expressions or formulas to be able to do some calculations for folks. All right, and the way you apply these may be a little bit different, but the process you're going to see is going to be very consistent all throughout. So let's go ahead and see what this actual project we're going to create looks like once it's complete. So we'll go over here, go to preview, and then let's go ahead and just see it in our HTML5 browser. And you're going to see she's going to come up, and then bam, right away, this comes up. Now we have 3 buttons here. Nice little rollover. If you love blah, 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 da, da, da. Okay, click the buttons below. Nice, it tells you what to do. Click on shopping list. Notice when I click on that, she goes away, and then this group of items now appears. Right? When I click on caramel apple, notice how the rest of those things disappears. Then we have directions. Okay, she comes back. Then we have all this other stuff that appears. Then we have a whole bunch of instructions, and then we have here this text entry box. Please enter the number of apples you want and click update recipe. Okay, so there's another button here that's going to be interacting with this. Okay, so I'm going to have 5 people in my group. I click on update recipe. Very cool. You can see how this changes. Yields 5 servings, ingredients, 5 apples, etc. Okay, let's take a look. Let's go back down to 3. Update 3, 3, and that says 18 and 3. Okay, great. Let's do a little easy math. Okay, so you can see, oh, okay, right. So this is multiplied by 6, and that's multiplied by 1. Okay, very cool. So we're doing a little bit of, math here. Okay, or at least Captivate is doing that for us. Okay, and also notice here we have a back button that takes us back as well. All right, so if we take a look again under the hood and we see what are these elements, right? What are these actions that we've applied to these objects? You're going to see some familiar things, right? In terms of how it's done as far as our actions are concerned. Now, how we do this, because we're going to be doing this from scratch, is what you're going to learn. All right, so if we take a look at our Actions tab, after clicking on this, you're going to see how I have a script, right, for advanced actions. I click on this, and there's going to be some actions here. So what do I want to do? I want to show something. I want to hide something. I want to show something else. What are we referring to? We're referring to all of these elements here that are going to be on our layers. Okay, so if I now make this a little taller, you'll be able to see that there's a lot going on here. Okay, that's great. And this is a group. So you can see, all right, very nice. There's a lot of stuff going on here. So now this is a little more wide open. Let's take a look at this one for our caramel apple. Let's take a look at its actions. We can see, okay, we want to show the girl mask. Okay, we want to show the caramel apple. Okay, great. We want to hide the shopping list group. Oh, okay, great. So when someone clicks on this, this is our shopping list group with all of these items in here nicely labeled on the layers. And we want to hide them, but then show our caramel apple, right? Because that's what we clicked on, okay? Very good. Now let's go ahead and get another preview on things. Let's go to our directions. All right, and you can see that takes us to another slide. So therefore, now we're going to see this. All right, and then this starts to get a little bit more in terms of what we wanted to do with our formulas and everything. All right, and you'll also notice I have a variable here, right? Number of servings. Okay, that's going to be something that I will create just like I did a few lessons ago with the name of people or their department, everything. Great, so that's going to be a variable here. And you can see here I have guess what? A text entry box. Okay, and that's going to have some items associated with as well, which is going to be a variable, servings requested, which is going to feed in to another expression that we're going to see later on. All right, so giving you the whole kind of, sort of big picture of kind of what's what, right? Like what are all the different elements, inside of this, so we can see ultimately when we create it, what different ingredients, if you will, are going to be part of this. Okay, and then finally, you're going to see here, update recipe has a script associated with it, right? That's going to factor in a lot of these things, right? In this case, you're going to see, bam, bam, we have this, and then guess what? We've got some other things we have not used here. Okay, so these little decision blocks, right? There's that. Okay, that's not going to have anything there. Calculate, da-da-da. Okay, great. So that's what you're going to learn, okay? So hold on tight. We've got a lot to cover. We're going to learn how to do all these things. And for you, this might be coming in, hot and fast for you when you are actually doing calculations. So this should help you quite a bit. All right, so stay tuned. Feel free to kind of explore this if you want to kind of get yourself a good idea. But we're going to go through this kind of piece by piece, go very slowly so we can understand what's what, how is what, and then ultimately create what's what. Okay. All right. Very good. So pause the video, explore this, and we'll see you in the next lesson. Now, many times when you are working with your advanced actions, because you are just showing and hiding things, you're essentially going to have pretty much all of your assets on the same slide. So we need to start getting ourselves organized with all of this. So a few things we want to do initially is let's group together all of the items that we're going to be working with as a group. Okay, so you can see here is our apples, our sticks, our milk, our caramel apple, all that good stuff, right? So let's just go ahead and group these 4 items together. And very simply, just do Control G. And now they are grouped together. Okay, go ahead and click over here to the upper right. Okay, and we'll just call this ingredients. And then, bam, there you have that. Okay, excellent. Now, if you need a little review on how to name all these, just go ahead and make sure that you name each individual item just by going over here to your properties panel. Okay, now, why did I group all these? It's going to be much easier to refer to them once we start putting them into our advanced actions. Okay, but we also want to name them as well. All right. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we have this little highlight box, which is white and is opaque, which we're going to use as a mask. Because remember earlier I was talking about the fact that, hey, you know what? We have a lot of things on our slide right now, certain things we just don't want to show. So notice I have this layer here called girl mask. That is the same as this. So when I move my mouse over it, it's basically saying, hey, listen, you know, we don't want her to be shown here at some point. We may decide to hide that mask later on, but see very easily, I can now do that. All right, so we're just kind of getting our stuff all set up here. All right, that it's there as a mask. Our objects are there together, they're grouped. Okay, but we haven't necessarily done anything, but we're getting kind of our house in order so we can make it so things are going to do what we want it to do. Now, in order to get yourself ready for when you finally do your advanced actions, you'll need to tell Captivate that certain things should not be visible unless triggered. Okay, so if you remember from when I showed you the preview, we had it pop up, okay, where we're going to see the little girl come in, and then we're not going to see really anything here except for, you know, her eating the caramel apple, whatever. But then when we click on this, we're going to see all the ingredients pop up. So certain things have to be invisible on output, and then when we click on the button, then other things go away, and then these things then appear. All right, so we have to now tell it. So I'm just going to go over here to ingredients. I'm going to say, go ahead and make those invisible on output. We're going to have our caramel apple also invisible on output, and our girl mask also invisible, because we still want to see her, right? So we're going to see all that stuff. Now, what we're going to do is say, hey, listen, with the button, we want to make certain things happen. And typically, when you want something to happen, right, we refer that as an action, right? So if I click on this, you can see I have actions, and I say, okay, what do I want to do? I want to show something, right? You can see here we have show and da-da-da, we have all these things here, right? All of our individual items here as well. But that's really good when we're only doing like just kind of one thing, right? But if we have something more complex, this is not going to be enough, right? We don't necessarily want that. Okay, so I don't want to put any kind of, you know, simple action on there. Eventually, what I'm going to be doing is executing some type of advanced action to be able to make it do more than just one thing. And that's what we're going to do first. Okay, so how do I do that? I need to actually go to my advanced actions to first create what the action is going to be. Then I come back and I apply that action to the button. So you kind of reverse engineer this a little bit. So if I come back over here to project, I'm going to go over here to advanced actions. When I come here, now what I need to do is actually create an action. And if we take a look, we'll see that I have create from what? From blank, right? Nothing, no choices there, essentially. I have the option to name my action. I can see what other actions exist if I had some other ones living in here, right? And then you're going to see all of our actions are going to live inside of this little table. Right, so very similar to what we saw in our previous exercises. So I'm just going to call this display shopping list. Okay, good. That's just the name of it. Now I need to say, hey, listen, this is what I want the action to be. So if I double click on this, you're going to see it's going to be very similar to what I just showed you with the button action with that little drop down. And I just want to say, hey, listen, when somebody clicks on this, go ahead and show what. You're going to see we have all my options here. Okay, great, great, great. Good, good, good. You can see, all right, very nice. Now, what I want to show is what? The apple. I want to show the caramel. And let's do one more. Double click, show. And let's do the milk. Okay, now keep in mind that when you click on these, you also have the ability, these little guys right here, to do a whole bunch of things here, right? So you can see you can add on another one if you run out. You can trash this one right here if you want to. You can copy it. You can cut it. And you can paste it. You can also change the order if you wanted to. you can very easily do that. All right, so we now have 3 things we want to show. Let's go ahead and show a few more. So let's go ahead and just double click back on that. I'm going to show the sticks. Show the mask. And finally, we're going to hide the caramel apples. Okay, now I'm pretty much done at this point. So I can click on close, say save, say okay, and now let's go ahead and apply it. So here we are, shopping list. I'm going to say on success, we're going to do execute advanced action, and then there it is, the one and only one that I have here, display shopping list. Now when I click back on this, just like how we did in our previous lessons, bam, look at that. You created this, okay? Show, 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 and then hide. Okay, great. So let's now see that in action. And now let's go ahead and preview. Okay, that's great. She's still there. Nothing has been triggered or anything like that, right? But then when I click on my shopping list, you can see, bam, I only see those things, but the other ones then get hidden, just like I asked. All right, so I'm going to have you just catch up a little bit. Go ahead and pause it. Catch up to me. Make sure you're practicing this. Make sure that you've got this down. Go slow, go step by step, and then we'll continue on with the next lesson. All right, in this lesson, we're going to continue on with making some advanced actions, but we're going to be focusing on this button here. But we're going to learn a couple of new tricks in order to do that. So let's come back to our advanced actions by going to Project and Advanced Actions. And I'm going to duplicate an action that I already have. So I'm going to go over to here under Existing Actions. I'm going to see here I have my Display Shopping List action. And I don't want all of these, but I do want to duplicate it and then making another action that I'm going to apply to this button. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just simply say duplicate action. I do that, and now this becomes a duplicate of that. It happens very, very quickly. You can see here's the action name, everything like that. I'm just going to call that caramel apple. Okay. So what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to hide all of these. Now earlier, you remember I made a group called ingredient. Let's actually kind of do that in sort of a little bit more shorthand. So I'm going to double click on this. I'm going to say hide, and then I'm going to come to here. And then instead of saying apple and all that stuff one by one, let's go ahead and just say ingredients. And now each of these now I can delete. I'm going to say goodbye, all right, because it's speaking for all of them. But ultimately, I'm going to still say show the mask, but then also double click on this and say show the caramel apple. All right, so I'm hiding all the ingredients, and I could have done that in that last one, right? Just depending if you're working with groups or not, okay? And I'm also going to show the mask, which is going to hide the girl, and I'm also going to show the caramel apple. Okay, and now I have a new action based off of the duplicate of the first one. So let's go ahead and just say close, save, bam, and now let's apply that to this button. Go over to here to execute advanced action, and then you can see there it is, caramel apple and our other one right there. All right, and let's go ahead and give it a whirl. See how she looks. Click on that, and click on that. Beautiful. Okay, go ahead, pause the video, practice that, and we'll see you in the next lesson. Now, following up with this lesson on advanced actions, we earlier discussed variables. Now, we discussed variables in a far earlier lesson, but we also refer to it here where we want to actually have these preset variables in order to create calculations for ourselves. Now, how we do variables, I'll do a little review on it. If we go over here to project and we go to variables, you'll see here I can add a new variable, and I have user variables and I have system variables. In this particular project, we have a number of preset variables for you. You can see we have them all right there. And in a little bit, we're going to be creating new variables. Now, if we take a look at the slide itself, we have some preset variables all just sitting here like what the ingredients are. Now, we've named these number of apples, number of caramel, etc. The purpose of these actually being here is for us to start doing some calculations. So in and of themselves, they do not have a whole lot of utility. Once we start doing a formula, they will start to do that, okay? But now let me just go ahead and just show you a little bit. When we click on these, notice how the default value of this is 1. This says 6, right? The caramel unit, there's a little description of it here. The number of caramels for a single serving. Let's go here to milk unit, it's just 1. Number of apples is 1. Okay, noted here, number of caramels, okay? Great, so you can see, all right, that is going to be kind of basically the sort of setup for us. Now, we need to actually do one variable ourselves, and I want to kind of do this just so you can have a little refresher on how all of this is done, and then we're going to start executing using our conditional actions. All right, so we want to have it so this is going to have some type of variable assigned to it. And you'll see currently it has the text entry box variable, right? So that might say, yeah, text entry or whatever it is that you have there initially by default. All right, so we need to create some type a variable to apply onto this, because what's going to happen is that there's going to be a formula associated with this number and all of these guys here to then execute 1 times 6, 1 times whatever, or 5 times 6 or whatever it is. We change that to be able to then calculate how many we need. All right, and in your case it might be something a little bit different. Of course, you're not going to be doing this, but you might be doing something on a more professional level, being able to calculate a certain number of things. Maybe it's going to be gamification for you. All right, so very simply, all I'm going to do is create a new variable first. So I'm going to go over here to project. I'm going to say add new, and keep in mind here it's going to be a user variable, and I'm going to name this servings requested, and my value by default is going to be 1. And then I'm just going to go ahead and type this in, the number of servings desired as input by the learner. It should not be set to 0. All right, and then that's going to be put in there, servings requested. All right, fantastic. So that's going to be there. Now I'm ready to apply this new variable to this text entry box. So I click over here, and you're going to see here is servings requested, and now that is applied. Now, essentially, we're going to get ourselves set up for the next lesson, which is going to be our condition actions. All right, so pause the video, apply this, and we'll see you in the next lesson. Now let's go ahead and continue our lesson talking about conditional actions. Now, you'll notice here I added on a couple of new little graphics here. We have this little thought bubble, and we also have this little guy here, which is going to be a little caption, depending on whether something happens based off of certain numbers. Okay, so the one button that we have not worked with yet is this update recipe, and that is going to determine what numbers are happening where and all that good stuff. So it's basically like an if-then type of situation. If somebody puts in a certain amount, a certain number, then we want this. If they put another number, we want it to have that. So that is what a condition actually is. So if this, then that. If not this, then that. Okay, so the first thing we have to do is actually create our advanced actions. So we're going to go over here. All right, and then what we're going to do is first just go ahead and name it. I'm going to name it the name as the button. Okay, so update recipe. All right, now where we're going to go after this is we're going to say, hey, we want to actually make this conditional. So when I click on that, you'll see a whole bunch of new things pop up here. We have an if box, we have some actions, we have some more ifs, little drop downs here. We also have an else Okay, if we wanted to work with these, right? So it's like, if this doesn't, that's not the case, then what do you want to have happen? Okay, so now that we've got this checked, we're going to go ahead and just double click inside of the if section. Go ahead and double click in there. We're going to choose variable. And then what is our variable? We're basically saying if servings requested, right, which is this guy right here, that's our variable, right? That's what we're referring to directly. That's why we did that before. Okay, so we need to find that. Is greater than, and then we're going to put in a number. I'm going to say 7, and I just chose literal. Then we have to say what our action is going to be. Then, so I double click over here, and I just simply have to say show what. And I want to show this little tip here, which is that. Okay, so I'm going to say show the layer name tip. Okay, so just understanding what this is, if somebody puts in a number higher than 7 here, we're going to show this layer called tip. If not, let's go here to else. We're going to say hide tip. Okay, very good. And now let's go ahead and just say save as action. Click OK. So let's go ahead and apply this, update recipe, and then on our actions, we need to say, once again, execute advanced action. And then this time we're going to say update recipe. And let's test her out. So preview. And we're going to put in a big old number this time to test that out. And what's that big old number? Anything over 7. So let's just put in 10. Click on update recipe, because remember what we just did? We applied that advanced action on update recipe, and then bam, that comes up. But now if I change that to 3, okay, it hides. All right, so very good. So just understanding what we just did. I'm going to come back one more time just so you can see that is a conditional action. Okay, so we can see here the condition is what? That what somebody put into this variable, into that box that has this variable of servings requested, it's greater than 7, then do this. That's the condition. Do you see that? So we're able to say, if this exists, then take this action. All right, so hopefully you're able to understand that, but even better, you're able to practice and put it to use. All right, so go ahead and pause the video, put this to use, watch again and again if you need to, and we'll come back in the next lesson. At this point, hopefully you're feeling pretty snazzy with everything you've done with all of your conditional advanced actions, with your variables, applying them to your buttons, putting on different actions, and maybe you're pretty happy with everything you've done. But this project is not complete, because notice that when we do our update recipe and we put in some numbers, all we're getting here is some messages. We're not getting any kind of calculations or anything like that. And that's what we're going to do next. But we're going to learn about something called decision blocks to be a little bit more organized with all of our content within all of our advanced actions. So let's go ahead and go over here to our project tab, advanced actions, and then we're going to see what are our existing actions. We're going to go back to update recipe. And there we are. This is where we just were. Now, I want you to notice up on top here, I have these 3 buttons right up on top there. Those are our 3 potential decision blocks, right? These are going to be 3 different ways for us to organize our content, but it's going to be 3 different scenarios for 3 different types of outcomes, right? So what we're going to do first of all is name these. So this first one is just called untitled. I'm going to double click it and then get rid of this. And I'm going to call this excess check. This one we're going to call calculate. And this one we're going to call effects. Okay, so let's come back to excess check, and you can see nothing has changed there, but we're starting to get organized with our content so we know exactly what this is. right? We want to see, did somebody put in a number of excess of this number, whatever it is, right? You're going to call something for your own referral, for your own team, whatever you want to refer back as. Okay, now what we're going to do here for calculate is we're going to do, again, a conditional tab. And then from there, we're going to do the same thing, come over here, variable, and say servings requested is lesser or equal to literal, and we're going to say 0. And then what's our action? We're going to say show 0 warning. And of course, that is referring to the 0 warning layer. Okay, but we also want to do one we have not seen before, which is going to be assign. So let's come back over to here, and we're going to say assign, and we're going to find another variable, which is going to be number of servings, which we looked at earlier, with 0. So earlier, we showed you here that underneath this little caption here, we had a whole bunch of variables and there were some numbers in front of it. Okay, and we're going to see those numbers are going to be related to this. So depending on what we see here that somebody puts in, that is going to be affected by it. So it's sort of like a calculation, but we're now starting to string everything together. And now, just like with our last advanced action, that was a condition, we're going to go ahead and come down here to else. And then if it's not 0, then we're going to put in some things here. So let's go ahead and double click. And this time we're going to say hide 0 warning. Go ahead and type it out this time, make it a lot easier. And then we're also going to do an assignment. Once again, for the number of servings. And this time it's going to be with a variable. And that is going to be servings requested. So essentially what this is saying is whatever is going to be in here is going to be in here, right? We have this and we want that to be linked up into it, right? So it's basically going to be kind of a mirror image of that. So we're assigning this variable with the same number that's inside of this variable, okay? So, little things like that, but you do have to put that in there. So you do have things that are kind of airtight and connected to each other. All right, and now we get to do our first calculation. So we're going to come over to here and we're going to say expression this time. And what is that expression going to be? It's going to be number of apples equals what? The apple unit, whatever number is going to be in there, multiplied by, which is the asterisk, servings requested. So let's just kind of take a high level view of what we're asking it to do here, okay? Because this is starting to get a little bit more advanced, okay? A little bit more complex. So we have here, right, when somebody clicks on update recipe, we want to just, number one, just check and see, hey, is it greater than 7? And if so, show the tip. And if not, then hide the tip. Okay, that's great. Then also, when somebody clicks on it, what else do you want to have happen, right? Hide the 0 warning, okay? And assign number of servings with the same number that's going to be in there, that's connected to this. And also, we want to start doing a formula here, okay? So just keeping that in mind, what our kind of main thread of our action is right now, okay? And let's just finish off our expressions. Let's come back to here. Let's do an expression. Just hitting E a couple of times. And what this is going to be, it's going to be number of caramels equals what? It's going to be the variable of caramel unit times servings requested times let's do another one. Expression. And what are we multiplying? We got a few more to go, or 2 more to go. Teaspoons of milk. Equals what? Milk unit, which makes sense, times, guess what? Servings requested. So you're starting to see a pattern here. And of course, yours is going to be a little bit different, whatever you're doing, but just understand the process. Okay? And if you like to, you could also duplicate this if you like. Copy and paste. Okay, let's go ahead and do the last one. Expression, hit E a few times, get to expression, and we're trying to get the number of sticks. It's going to be stick unit. Times this part. You should see where we're going with this. Servings requested. Okay, looking pretty good, feeling pretty good. That's essentially what needs to be here. Now we're going to do a little effect. So you can see now we're going to come over to here and we're going to do one other thing, and that's going to be an effect. So just simply come over here and we're going to yield message. And what is the effect? Emphasis and flicker. All right, now if you want to get kind of a high level view of all of these, right? Because we got a lot going on here. As we have this, and then we also have our else. We have our little effects, all everything like that. So if you click on this little guy way up here, looks like a little play button. Now move your mouse over, it's going to say preview action. That takes you to this little window here, and it kind of gives you a nice little high level view over what you're doing. So you can kind of have a little storyboard kind of tell you kind of what's what, make sure you have everything there. It's a lot easier to see everything all at once because we have all these little decision blocks here. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and say update action. Click on close. And let's go ahead and preview it. See if it works. Let's go ahead and just preview that slide. And remember what the expectation is. We should see if I type in 0 here, I'm going to get a little message saying, hey, are you on a diet? What's going on here? And then if I put in anything over 0, right, I'm going to get the number of servings, and I'm going to get all those calculations that were here initially, okay, times whatever number this is. Okay, so let's just go ahead and say 5. And then guess what? I need to say update the recipe because remember the advanced action was on this button, right? We want to make sure of that, right? So I click on that and then guess what? Look at that. All that math done very easily. 5 times 1 times 1, but also you can see here's 5 times 6. Bam, that's how many we need. And then here's the 5 servings. Okay, so let's get out of this. I'm going to move this out of the way, just to kind of give you a little bit a fuller understanding, if it's not clear yet, what those little drop downs that we were referring to that's making it do what it's doing here. But remember how they started off with just 1, but then we did some math to multiply this times whatever number that was in there. Okay, so pretty cool, pretty nifty. Takes a little bit of work, kind of take it very slow, but if you use this as an example, it'll give you a nice little idea of kind of a model of what to shoot from. right? Because there is a logic behind it, but you really want to take it slow, and you got to kind of see where things are kind of hidden, how things are referred to, like, words like expression, and how we have our little decision blocks and everything. And it should run smoothly for you. Even if you're doing something completely different than this, the process is more or less, the same, or at least consistent with it. All right, so go ahead and pause the video, try it out, take your time, refer back to this, and refer back to the Actions Complete document, and have fun, but just really take your time with it, take some notes, and we'll see you in the next lesson. And we are now reaching the end of this amazing project. Hopefully you're all sticking with me here. You've all walked through it and you're learning something. And this last part here, I've done a little bit of the work for you, but you can just kind of see what all the advanced actions are going to be, having to do with a reset button. Okay, so I'm just going to create a regular button. So I can even make it nice and easy for myself. I'm just going to go ahead and just hold down the Control key and click and drag. And I'm going to rename this Reset. Okay, now I want that to basically, when there's a bunch of numbers and stuff up here, right, I want to actually reset to 0. Okay, now if I go over to my advanced actions, you will see that I have an action called reset. All right, so rather than kind of go through everything in this video, I want you can just go ahead and see all the things that it's going to do, what it's going to hide, what it's going to assign back to 1, right? You can see here, once this servings request goes back to 1, all of these things, right, that's part of this expression is 1. So therefore, all these are multiplied by 1, and therefore going back to their original number. Okay? And you can see it's also going to hide a few things like the tip and the 0 warning, all that good stuff there. Okay, so just keep in mind, you might want to have a reset button. So that will also, kind of help your users have that kind of experience. Say, okay, listen, I'm changed my mind. I want to go back to reset. So let's see what that's going to look like. This still has an action on it right from here. So I don't want to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and just say, not jump to slide, but execute advanced action. And guess who's waiting there for us is reset. All right. So let's go ahead and check everything out. So recall what we did. We put in a number here. We're going to have a little bit of a formula happening there as well, right? A few formulas. It's also going to flicker, right? Remember that flicker is for the yield message, right? You can see, bam, it's going to kind of do a little kind of thing for us, right? A little flicker, right? Subtle, but it's going to do something. Maybe you want to change it to something else with that apply effect. So let's go ahead and take a look, see it in action. Let's go ahead and watch the entire thing from the beginning. Come to here, and then got my shopping list. Looks amazing. I want to see what the caramel apple is supposed to look like. That's great. I'm going to go here to my directions. That's great. You can see, bam, here's everything. Here's my little number waiting to be filled in. Here's all these other variables waiting to be multiplied by this number. So just me and a couple of buddies. Let's go ahead and say 3, update recipe. All right, and there we go. Okay, let's go to 0, update recipe. Uh-oh. Right, we got a little problem there. Okay, let's say 5. Update recipe. Cool. Fantastic. Let's say reset. And that goes back to 1. Back to our original. Okay, so everything works great. I am so happy. Very cool. But keep in mind, you do also have all these other assets that we looked at in previous exercise. So you can see what other types of advanced actions are available, other kinds of conditional actions are available, what other kind of variables are available that you can then build off of. Now that we know how to do some more advanced things on our own, a little more manually, you might want to take some of the ones that they offer us and then make them your own. Okay? But please, please, please pause the video if you have not been building off of this. And at this point, if you're just watching, that's totally fine. I totally get it. But at some point, the best way to learn is for you to build it yourself. Thank you, everyone. That concludes our 4th and final training session on Adobe Captivate. At this point, you should feel pretty confident in your Captivate skills and knowledge. In this session, we covered how to create VR training modules and interactive videos. We also created training e-learning sessions that included variables and advanced actions. Through the examples you created, you've seen that you can create highly customized user experiences that are both complex and fun for all your students. Hopefully, we've seen that although the tools shown in the lessons are slightly more advanced, they are surprisingly easy to use and create. And once you know how to configure them and harness their power, they can be highly beneficial to you as a developer and instructional designer. I hope you enjoyed this training and the program as much as I did, and you can continue to come back as much as you need to keep on creating and keep on educating. And again, congrats to you all.